Good evening, everyone. On this very first day of inauguration ceremony of Legal Aid Awareness Program for the academic year 2021-22, a webinar series, Law at Your Doorstep, organized in collaboration with Department of Law, University of Mumbai, Department of Law, Mahatma Gandhi Kashi Vidyapith, Uttar Pradesh, and Janardhan Bhagat Shikshan Prasarak Samsthas, Bhagubai Changu Thakur College of Law. We will begin our webinar by national anthem. So may I request you all to kindly stand up for the same.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभाशिष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
I, Suyash Barteke, the student of 5th year BLS LLB, feels a great and immense pleasure to extend a very warm welcome to an eminent legal luminary and a great jurist, and also the former judge of Supreme Court of India, Honorable Shri Justice B. N. Shri Krishnan Sir. Further, I am pleased to welcome Honorable Dr. Baliram Gaikwad Sir, Registrar, University of Mumbai. I am also delighted to welcome Honorable Dr. Rajashri Varadi Madam, Professor and Head of Department, Department of Law, University of Mumbai. Further, I am glad to welcome Honorable Dr. Ranjan Kumar Sir, Head and Dean, Department of Law, Mahatma Gandhi Kashi Vidyapith, Varanasi. Now, I would like to welcome Honorable Dr. Mrs. Sheetala Shrikant Gawan Madam, Principal, Bhagubai Changu Thakur College of Law, New Panvel, Raigad. I am also very happy to welcome all other dignitaries present here, honorable principals of various law colleges, professors, teaching staff, advocates, members of alumni, student coordinators, and all my dear participants. A very warm welcome to one and all present here. Prior to going further, there is an important announcement pertaining to the e-certificates. Dear participants, a feedback form will be provided in the chat box as well as the comment box of the Zoom meeting as well as on the YouTube, respectively in the middle of the webinar. After filling the form, you will get your e-certificates. I would also like to give a short introduction of Honorable Dr. Rajashri Varadi Madam, Professor and Head of Department, Department of Law, University of Mumbai. Honorable Madam have several international achievements in her name. Madam has delivered a lecture on environment protection, legislation and role of judiciary in protection of environment at Bolton University, UAE. Further, Madam participated in an international conference of jurists and writers 2014 at London, which was organized by International Council of Jurists and International Commission of Writers, and also presented a paper of alternative dispute resolution, new challenges. Madam has also represented Department of Law, University of Mumbai, and successfully completed International Visiting Scholar Teaching Program for the month of November 2011, organized by the Sage College, Troy and Albany, New York, USA, on the subject human rights, and on the basis of the performance of teaching course, Madam have been appointed as a visiting faculty of Sage College, Albany, USA. Madam has also served as the member of Maharashtra State Consumer Commission and various committees. Apart from this, Honorable Madam is very nice human being, helping and of very friendly nature. Now, may I request Honorable Dr. Rajashri Varadi Madam, Professor and Head of Department, Department of Law, University of Mumbai, to propose a welcome address.
Namaste. Good evening, everyone. Honorable Chief Justice B.N. Sri Krishna, former Judge, Supreme Court of India, Dr. Ranjan Kumar, Dean and Head of the Law Department of Mahatma Gandhi Kashi Vidyapith, Varanasi, Dr. Sheetala Gawan, Principal of Bhagubai Changu Thakur College of Law, New Panvel District, Raigad, Dr. Gadadhar Sir, Trustee of BCT Law College, Panvel, members of the bench and bar, teaching and non-teaching faculties of the Department of Law, University of Mumbai, Mahatma Gandhi, Kashi Vidyapit, Varanasi, and BCT Law College, Panvel. Visiting faculties, principals of law colleges at state level, students of the departments of both universities and colleges, and distinguished guests. It is our privilege and honor to welcome our alumni of the Department of Law and the man of great commitment in the field of law, the great jurist, His Lordship, Honorable Justice B.N. Sri Krishna, who is known for his legal contribution for the nation. His Lordship has been a former judge of Supreme Court of India. Even after completion of his judicial commitment, his Lordship devoted his life for the growth and development of law and society. Your Lordship, we are grateful to you for accepting our invitation to be the chief guest of today's legal awareness program and to deliver address on the topic of law and society as a part of Law Department's mission plan of law at your doorstep for creating awareness in the society. This is a 4 days legal awareness program. Every day, different legal experts from the legal field will address his lordship has presided several renowned committees of the central government and state government, such as Committee for Sixth Pay Commission, Shri Krishna Commission, and many more. Committee shall remain obliged forever to his valuable contribution in the Committee for Sixth Pay Commission to the academic community. In spite of his great achievements, Sir is known for humility and simplicity. Sir, I am sure that your motivational and thought provoking speech will provide intellectual strength to this entire academic and legal fraternity. I am happy to inform you that more than 500 participants have registered for this event of legal awareness program, and credit goes to, of course, our Honorable Justice B.N. Sri Krishna. Our students are eager to hear you, sir. My special welcome to most dynamic personality, Dr. Baliram Gaikwad, in charge registrar of the University of Mumbai. Sir has been instrumental in organizing various academic activities so as to bridge the gap between academic institute and society at large. We are really thankful to you, sir, for always being with us in our academic events. Hearty welcome to Dr. Ranjan Kumar, Dean and Head of the Law Department of Mahatma Gandhi Kashi Vidyapit, Varanasi. Sir is known for his academic commitment in the field of law. Sir has undertaken various academic initiatives at central level and state level. I am grateful to Dr. Ranjan Kumar sir for joining us in this collaborative activity of legal awareness program. I am thankful to Dr. Sheetala Gavan, my dear friend and principal of BCT College of Law, for initiating such academic program in collaboration with Department of Law for creating legal awareness in the society. Distinguished guest, this program is unique and memorable as much as three academic institutes, mainly Department of Law, University of Mumbai, Department of Law, Mahatma Gandhi Kashi Vidyapit, Varanasi, and BCT College of Law, for contributing their joint efforts for our mission of law at your doorstep to spread legal awareness to various segments of the society, not only at state level but also at national level. I am really grateful and thankful to Honorable Dr. Suhas Pednekar, Vice Chancellor of University of Mumbai, Honorable Dr. Ravindra Kulkarni, Pro Vice Chancellor of University of Mumbai, for giving us constant support and guidance to initiate such academic events. I appreciate the presence of all my colleagues of the Law Department, Dr. Swati Rautela, Associate Professor, Dr. Sanjay Jadhav, Dr. Alka Patil, Mrs. Dipali Patil, Mr. Sheetal Setia, Dr. D.K. Sonawne, dedicated Law College principals, Dr. Kavita Lal Chandani, Principal of KC Law College, Dr. Shweta Wadhwani, Principal of KES Patel Law College, our visiting faculty, Principal Kevin, Principal Payal, Dr. Kiran Sharma, Dr. Borse, Dr. Rita Bansal, Dr. Shivani Shelar, Professor Garde, and other teachers and students of law colleges in Mumbai, Mumbai suburbs, Raigad district, Varanasi, members of the bar and bench, and most dear students of law colleges, law department, students of LLM 6 group, MPhil and PhD and 4 diploma courses. It shall be a duty of the academic fraternity to create legal awareness about the laws which are made for the welfare of the society. There are number of legislation which brought the social reform like Child Marriage Restraint Act, Dowry Prohibition Act, Sati Prohibition Act, Hindu Succession Act, Consumer Protection Act, Right to Education Act, Legal Aid Services Authorities Act, Cyber Law, and other allied laws. Distinguished guests, these laws are reformative legislation. Law and society are magnet to each other. They cannot exist without each other. Many laws are passed as per societal need. Therefore, awareness of which is very much essential in the society. It is the duty of law colleges, legal institutes, universities to take active participation in organizing such social legal awareness programs. Keeping in view our academic and social commitment, we are gathered here to participate in this social legal awareness 4 days program. We are indeed thankful for the gracious presence of His Lordship Justice B.N. Sri Krishna for the inauguration of this program. Once again, I welcome all dignitaries, participants, and students for remaining present for this legal awareness program. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Dr. Rajashri Varadi, Madam, Professor and Head of Department, Department of Law, University of Mumbai, for proposing a welcome address, for those kind words and emphasizing your views in various aspects. Now, may I request Honorable Dr. Ranjan Kumar Sir, Head and Dean, Department of Law, Mahatma Gandhi Kashi Vidyapith, Varanasi, to advance introductory speech.
मैं प्रोफेसर रंजन कुमार, संकाय अध्यक्ष, महात्मा गांधी काशी विद्यापीठ विधि संकाय, इस वेबिनार से जुड़े सभी अतिथियों का मैं प्रणाम करता हूं और मैं इतने बड़े विषय पर आज जो ये वेबिनार हो रहा है उसके लिए बंबई विश्वविद्यालय की विभागाध्यक्ष प्रोफेसर राजश्री वराडी मैडम को मैं बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं कि उन्होंने हमारे विभाग को इस कार्यक्रम से जोड़ा। आज इस कार्यक्रम के मुख्य अतिथि माननीय उच्चतम न्यायालय के न्यायाधीश माननीय श्री B.N. श्री कृष्णा जी का मैं बनारस की इस धरती से, बाबा विश्वनाथ की इस धरती से विशेष स्वागत करता हूं कि सर इस कार्यक्रम में मुख्य अतिथि के रूप में अपनी अमूल्य समय में से हम लोग को समय दिया, इसके लिए सर का मैं बहुत आभारी हूं, सर का मैं बहुत स्वागत करता हूं। हमारे लिए बड़ा सम्मान और गर्व की बात है कि आप हमारी संगोष्ठी में आए और अपना बहुमूल्य समय दिए। सर के बहुत सारे डिसीजन हम लोग पढ़े हैं, हम अपने विद्यार्थियों को पढ़ाते भी हैं। हमें आज व्यक्तिगत रूप से बड़ा गर्व हो रहा है कि सर के साथ हम लोग इस कार्यक्रम से जुड़े हैं। सर का मैं पुनः एक बार आभार और स्वागत करता हूं अपने विश्वविद्यालय की तरफ से, अपने सहयोगियों की तरफ से, अपने इस बनारस की तरफ से मैं सर का बहुत बहुत स्वागत करता हूं। इस कार्यक्रम की प्रणेता मुंबई यूनिवर्सिटी विधि विभाग की विभागाध्यक्ष, हमारे विश्वविद्यालय के लॉ फैकल्टी की अकादमिक मार्गदर्शक प्रोफेसर मैडम राशि वराडी का मैं बहुत आभारी हूँ। उन्होंने इस 4 दिवसीय वेबिनार में हमको भी अपना सहभागी बनाया, इसलिए मैं मैडम का बहुत ही आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। मैडम विभिन्न कार्यक्रमों में हमारे यहाँ आई हुई हैं, हमें हमेशा अपना सहयोग देती रहती हैं, इसके लिए मैं मैडम का बहुत आभारी हूँ। और अपने विश्वविद्यालय की तरफ से बनारस की धरती बाबा विश्वनाथ की नगरी से मैं उनका भी स्वागत करता हूँ। अपने सहयोगियों की तरफ से मैं उनका स्वागत करता हूँ कि आप हमेशा हम लोग को इसी तरह से अपने इस विशेष कार्यक्रम जो भविष्य में भी कराएं, उसमें भी हम लोग को जोड़ें, इसके लिए मैं आपका बहुत आभारी, बहुत स्वागत करता हूँ। मैं मुंबई यूनिवर्सिटी के माननीय कुलपति जी, माननीय कुल सचिव महोदय, माननीय प्रति कुलपति, वहाँ के फाइनेंस शासक, सबका मैं बनारस अपने विश्वविद्यालय की तरफ से स्वागत करता हूँ कि मैं भी इस वेबिनार के माध्यम से आप सभी लोग से जुड़ा हूँ, इसलिए मैं सबका स्वागत करता हूँ। इस कार्यक्रम की रूपरेखा को तैयार करने में अपनी महती भूमिका का निर्वहन जिनके द्वारा किया गया, डॉक्टर शुक्ला एस गावन, प्राचार्य बीसी ठाकुर, कॉलेज ऑफ लॉ, न्यू पनवेल, रायगढ़, महाराष्ट्र का भी मैं स्वागत करता हूं। अपने सभी सहयोगियों की तरफ से मैं उनका स्वागत करता हूं। हमारी मैडम से कभी मुलाकात नहीं है, फोन से उनसे हमारी बातचीत होती रहती है। जिस हिसाब से हम लोग को इस कार्यक्रम में हमेशा अवेयर किया, ये अवेयरनेस, लीगल अवेयरनेस प्रोग्राम में हम लोग भी अवेयर हो रहे हैं, इसके लिए मैडम का बहुत स्वागत, बहुत आभार है। अपने सहयोगियों की तरफ से मैं उनका भी आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। इस वेबिनार से जुड़े हम सभी अतिथियों का, जिनका मैं नाम नहीं ले पा रहा हूं, उन सभी का मैं स्वागत करता हूं अपने विश्वविद्यालय की तरफ से। इस वेबिनार में मैं अपने विश्वविद्यालय का एक संक्षिप्त परिचय भी अपने अतिथि और अपने सेमिनार वेबिनार से जुड़े हुए लोगों के समक्ष रखना आवश्यक इसलिए समझता हूं कि 100 वर्ष पुरानी हमारी संस्था महात्मा गांधी जी के द्वारा स्थापित है, उसके बारे में हम थोड़ा सा परिचय देना जरूरी से समझते हैं कि हमारे विश्वविद्यालय जो बनारस में है, जहाँ से हमारे सांसद, देश के प्रधानमंत्री माननीय श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी प्रतिनिधित्व करते हैं, उस विश्वविद्यालय के बारे में मैं थोड़ा संक्षिप्त परिचय बताना चाहता हूँ। यह भारतीय स्वतंत्रता संग्राम सेनानियों की कर्मभूमि रही है। यहाँ से रहकर लोगों ने देश की स्वतंत्रता के लिए लड़ाई लड़ी। मैं इसके बारे में संक्षेप में बताना, वाराणसी में भदैनी एक जगह है, भदैनी में 10 फरवरी 1923 को बसंत पंचमी के दिन काशी विद्यापीठ का आरंभ हुआ था, जिसकी अध्यक्षता डॉक्टर भगवान दास ने की थी। काशी विद्यापीठ की स्थापना का श्रेय राष्ट्र रत्न श्री शिव प्रसाद गुप्त जी को जाता। इस अवसर पर महात्मा गांधी जी ने कहा, असहयोग आंदोलन के दौरान विद्यार्थियों को स्वदेशाभिमान, स्वाश्री, चरित्रवान एवं भारतीय बनाने के लिए स्वदेशी शिक्षण संस्थानों की आवश्यकता है। यह संस्थान स्वदेशी के लिए ही बनाई गई थी। महात्मा गांधी काशी विद्यापीठ देश के 20 प्राचीन विश्वविद्यालयों में से एक है। यहाँ पर स्थापित भारत माता मंदिर, आप जानते हैं कि देश में एक ही भारत माता मंदिर और काशी विद्यापीठ के कैंपस में ऐतिहासिक धरोहर है, जिसका लोकार्पण संवत 1935 को महात्मा गांधी जी के कर कमलों द्वारा से हुआ है। काशी विद्यापीठ के विधि विभाग की स्थापना अहिंसा के पुजारी राष्ट्रपति महात्मा गांधी के जन्म दिवस 2 अक्टूबर 1983 को हुई थी। वर्तमान में यहाँ BA, LLB, LLM और शोध के पाठ्यक्रम संचालित किए जाते हैं। जैसा कि हमने अपने विश्वविद्यालय के बारे में आपको संक्षिप्त में बताया, थोड़ा सा हम विधि विभाग मुंबई विश्वविद्यालय के विषय में भी बताना चाहूंगा। मेरा अकादमिक जुड़ाव विधि विभाग मुंबई विश्वविद्यालय से हमेशा बना रहता है। इस कोरोना के कोविड के चक्कर में कोई आ जा नहीं पा रहा, लेकिन फोन से वर्चुअल वेबिनार के माध्यम से हम जुड़े रहते हैं। भविष्य में कई कार्यक्रम हम लोग किए साथ में, एक कार्यक्रम में बहुत महत्वपूर्ण हो रहा है। मैडम बराड़ी, प्रोफेसर मैडम बराड़ी अपना सहयोग हमारे विभाग के प्रत्येक अकादमिक कार्यक्रमों में देती रहती हैं, जिनका मैं बहुत आभारी हूँ। इस अवसर पर मैं एक महत्वपूर्ण नाम को बताना जरूरी समझता हूँ कि जिनके कारण हम लोग जुड़े, डॉक्टर किरण अरुण शर्मा जो केसी लॉ कॉलेज से जुड़ी हैं, उनके कारण हम लोग जुड़े। उनको भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद इसके लिए कि उन्होंने हमको बंबई से जोड़ा। उनका मैं स्वागत करता हूँ। वो बनारस की हैं, ये खुशी की बात हम लोग के लिए है कि बनारस को बंबई से जोड़ा, इसके लिए मैं उनका बहुत आभारी हूँ। केसी लॉ कॉलेज की प्राचार्य कविता लाल चंद्रानी मैडम जो जुड़ी है इस कार्यक्रम से, उनका भी स्वागत करता हूँ। मैं भूल गया तो माफ करिएगा, आपका भी बड़ा सहयोग रहता है। मैं हमेशा जब भी मुझे जरूरत पड़ती है, जब भी मैं मैडम को फोन करता हूं, वे अपना सुझाव देती हैं। ये मेरे लिए बड़ा महत्वपूर्ण है कि एक ऐसे मुंबई विश्वविद्यालय अपने आप में बहुत पुराना विश्वविद्यालय है, इतने प्राचीन और अकादमिक विश्वविद्यालय से जुड़ना हम अपने को गौरव महसूस करते हैं। हमारा विश्वविद्यालय बड़ा लाभान्वित होता है। आज हम जिस विषय पर यह वेबिनार करा रहे हैं वो आज हमारे समाज की आवश्यकता है। विधि और समाज पर हो रहा इस कार्यक्रम में जितने भी विषयों पर परिचर्चा होगी उससे हम सभी लाभान्वित होंगे। भारत के संविधान में दिए विभिन्न पहलुओं में से सबसे प्रमुख पहलू है नागरिकों को प्रदत्त सामाजिक, आर्थिक व राजनीतिक न्याय। इस न्याय की उपलब्धता को सरल बनाने के लिए संविधान का संरचनात्मक ढांचा इस प्रकार से व्यवस्थित किया गया है कि सभी वर्गों को न्याय प्राप्त हो सके। इसमें सरकार की भूमिका अग्रणी है। हमारी न्यायपालिका के द्वारा भी इस संबंध में बहुत से दिशा निर्देश दिए गए हैं। इन प्रयासों में एक प्रमुख प्रयास PIL है जिस पर आज हर व्यक्ति की पहुंच संभव है। आज हमारी संगोष्ठी का जो विषय है लॉ एंड सोसाइटी।
Thank you, Honorable Dr. Ranjan Kumar sir, Head and Dean, Department of Law, Mahatma Gandhi Kashi Vidyapit, Varanasi, for giving introductory speech. The views extended by you will surely assist the participants present here. Now, may I request Honorable Dr. Baliram Gaikwad sir, Registrar, University of Mumbai, to guide and advance all of us.
Good evening, all of you. First of all, on behalf of University of Mumbai, I welcome all the dignitaries here, and we are really very, very happy and delighted to welcome all the honorable guests, because it's been the practice at University of Mumbai to give the best to our students in the form of exchange of ideas and exposing our students to the best of the resources available in the country and also even internationally. And Department of Law has always been very progressively ahead in terms of making things available, the resources available. And I think today's our guest, today's our speakers are the best resource in terms of making the students understand or creating the legal literacy among the young students. And for that purpose, I congratulate Dr. Rajeshri Baradi Madam, the head of the Department of Law, as well as entire her team and the students who are very enthusiastic. In fact, most of the time, or rather always, they are after us, we want to do this program, that program, and we want your presence also. And in a way, they make it compulsory for us, and we have to attend with pleasure, of course. So I'm extremely happy that the topic that you have chosen today for this particular topic, that legal literacy. In fact, when we are talking about digital literacy, when we are talking about financial literacy, many of the time financial literacy and digital literacy and legal literacy, these are the areas that most of the time even educated people also ignore. And in such a scenario, in this background, it is necessary that how important it is to make oneself aware of the legal literacy, realizing this necessity. This particular theme has been chosen by Dr. Rajeshri Baradi ma'am. So I congratulate her. I welcome all our dignitaries today, and I'm eager to listen to the dignitaries today. So with these words, quickly, I pause. Thank you very much, all of you. Please keep yourself muted. So with these words, I take a pause. Thank you so much. Dr. B. and Shri Krishna sir, I welcome again personally on behalf of University of Mumbai. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Dr. Baliram Gaikwad sir, Registrar, University of Mumbai, for those encouraging words and for guiding us. Now, may I request Honorable Dr. Mrs. Sheetala Shrikant Gawan Madam, Principal, Bagubai Changu Thakur College of Law, New Panvel, to give introduction of our Honorable Chief Guest.
Namaskar and very good evening. Shrotam Shrutainev na Kundalena Danena Parnina tu Kankanena Vibhati Kayaha Khalu Sajjanana Parokkarena tu Chandanena. Good people's ears are adorned by listening the good stuff and not the earrings. Their hands get dignified by giving donations and not by wearing bracelets and bangles. Similarly, the personality of noble persons get embellished through benevolent deeds done by them and not by merely applying sandalwood paste over their body. With this note, I heartily welcome our today's Honorable Chief Guest, Honorable Justice Shri B.N. Sri Krishna Sir, former Judge, Supreme Court of India, Honorable Dr. Baliram Gayakwad Sir, Registrar, University of Mumbai, Honorable Professor Dr. Rajashri Varadi Madam, Head, Department of Law, University of Mumbai, Honorable Professor Dr. Ranjan Kumar Sir, Head and Dean, Department of Law, Mahatma Gandhi Kashi Vidyapit, Varanasi, all respected principals, professors, teaching staff, and my dear students and friends, a very warm welcome to all of you. Today, 1st August 2021 is the 101 death anniversary of Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak, also known as the father of nationalism. He was an Indian nationalist, teacher, social reformer, lawyer, and independence activist. He became the first popular leader of the Indian freedom struggle and is considered as one of the first and strongest advocates of Swaraj during British Raj. During the freedom struggle, he was given many titles like the father of the Indian unrest, given by Britishers, then Lokmanya, which means accepted by the people as their leader. Not just this, even Mahatma Gandhi gave him the title of the maker of modern India. He was the first leader to start the national movement for Indian independence and brought the concept of Swaraj is my birthright and of Swadeshi. From his deathbed also, he said, unless Swaraj is achieved, India will not prosper. It is vital for our existence. In our Indian democratic country, as an advocate, it is our duty to protect the rights of our citizens, and it will be a real tribute in the real sense of the term to the father of our Indian nationalism, Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak. So, this academic year 21-22 is the second year of this legal aid awareness program, Law at Your Doorstep. It is our immense pleasure to get an opportunity to organize this program in collaboration with Law Department, University of Mumbai and Mahatma Gandhi Kashi Vidyapit, Varanasi. My special thanks to Honorable Dr. Baliram Gayakwad Sir, Registrar, University of Mumbai, for always encouraging us and for supporting and motivating us to organize such programs. It is our great honor that University of Mumbai is hosting this Law at Your Doorstep webinar series. Law at Your Doorstep is a platform on which various legal dignitaries will impart their legal knowledge and will share their experiences and inspirational thoughts. We are honored this evening by the presence of Honorable Chief Guest, Justice Shri B.N. Sri Krishna Sir, former Judge, Supreme Court of India. Honorable Justice Sri Krishna Sir is very well known and one of the most distinguished jurists in India. It is my pleasure to introduce Honorable Chief Guest, Justice Sri Krishna Sir, former Judge, Supreme Court of India. Honorable Justice Shri B.N. Sri Krishna Sir has been a judge at the Supreme Court of India from 2002 to 2006. He was appointed as one-man commission to inquire into the riots and incidents in Mumbai during December 1992 to January 1993. Post-retirement, Justice Sri Krishna Sir has headed several high-profile commissions such as Sixth Pay Commission, the Committee for Consultations on the Situation in Andhra Pradesh, Financial Sector Legislative Reform Commission, the Expert Committee on Arbitration in India, and committed to draft a data protection framework in India. Honorable Justice Sri Krishna Sir is currently the Vice President and a trustee at Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan and a trustee at the India International Center. In the past, he has been an independent director of the National Stock Exchange of India Limited and director of NSDL E-Governance Infrastructure Limited and the National Securities Depository Limited. He started his career as an advocate in Bombay High Court in 1962 and specialized in the field of labor and industrial law. Honorable Justice Sri Krishna Sir was appointed as an additional judge of Bombay High Court in 1990 and as a permanent judge in 1991. In 1993, he assumed charge of the Commission of Inquiry into the riots that took place in Bombay in 1992-93. The Sri Krishna Commission, as it became known, submitted its report in 1998 and generated widespread interest in India and abroad. In September 2001, Honorable Justice Sri Krishna Sir was appointed as the Chief Justice of the Kerala High Court, and on 3rd October 2002, he was appointed as a judge of the Supreme Court of India. On 21st May 2006, as per rules, on reaching the age of the superannuation of 65 years, he retired from the Honorable Supreme Court. Honorable Justice Sri Krishna Sir has been a member of several professional associations. He was a life member of the Labour Law Practitioners Mumbai and the National Institute of Personnel Management Kolkata. He was also a member of Western Region Committee of the Employers Federation of India, Industrial Relations Research Association USA, and the International Bar Association London. Honorable Justice Sri Krishna Sir is also very fond of Indian art, culture, drama, and classical music in general and Carnatic music in particular. He tries to find out time to pursue what he says is his real passion, that is Indian classical music and culture. But more than these accolades, he is a true gentleman and nice human being who has helped large number of people from all walks of life. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation to inaugurate this Legal Aid Awareness 4 days webinar series, Law at Your Doorstep. Thank you very much once again. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra.
Now we are heading towards an important and crucial part of today's webinar. But prior to this, I would like to convey some of my views on today's topic. The most important part in everyone's life is law. Since from a person's birth till his death, he is governed by law and nothing else. Though law found in nature, but the society lends a hand and indeed aids for construction and evolution of law. Hence, law and society are two sides of a coin. They are entangled between one another. Hence, today's topic for the webinar is law and society. So without a dawdle, we will proceed with today's lecture. Now, may I request the powerhouse of knowledge, Honorable Shri Justice B.N. Shri Krishna Sir, former Judge, Supreme Court of India, to enlighten his views on the said topic. Kindly take note that as per the directions of our Honorable Chief Guest, Shri Justice B.N. Shri Krishna Sir, former Judge, Supreme Court of India, I request you, Honorable Principals and teachers, to kindly switch on your video cameras. Thank you.
Dr. Rajesh Ivarhadi, Dr. Mrs. Sheetala Gavan, Dr. Ranjan Kumar, and all the past, present, and future academicians, lawyers, and judges, if present in this August webinar. Before I start to say anything on the subject, let me say something that my greetings to you for one more reason. The reason is there is a magazine known as Fortune 500, which lists out the wealthiest persons in the world. I don't know how many of you find your names there. If you do, congratulations. Even if you do not, let me tell you that you are the wealthiest persons who should be always respected. It is said, Apurvah kopi koshoyam vidyate tava bharati vriddhito vidyuto yayato vriddhimayati kshayamayati sanchayat. It is said that Vidya or Bharati is a very apurva. Apurva means something that is strange, something that is inexplicable, something that is never heard of, that kind of wealth. What is the greatness of this wealth? The more you expend, the more does it expand. And the more you try to keep it conserved, the more does it deteriorate. So it is therefore necessary for all Vidya Pradayakas like you to continue this kind of activity of propagating good knowledge to the future generations of this country. With that, let me get back to the topic. Law and society. Now, the young man who introduced, who talked, I think it was Suyash Bartake, who talked of law and society being like the two sides of a coin. I would go one step ahead and say law and society are like the two eyes of a human being. Please note that although the good Lord has given us two eyes, we focus them together. Now, if you were to see one thing with one eye and another thing with one eye, you know you will be called a kana in society. And if you do not see with one eye, you are blinded in one side and your eye works only on the other side. Therefore, it is necessary that both the eyes should always be focused on an objective and both of them should work simultaneously and in cooperation. This is true equally of law and society. There is an inseparable intertwining between law and society that emerges from the belief that legal regulations and decisions must be understood in their social context. Both law and society have common understanding. They are never autonomous or independent in their context. In other words, law is deeply embedded within a society, and conversely, the society deeply influences law. It therefore implies that law is socially and historically constructed to become legally recognized procedures and institutions. And besides that, law needs a society for its effectiveness and usefulness. Now, you can't have law in the jungle. You can't have law amongst animals. Law is necessary for a society comprising human beings, and that is where the greatness lies. We need to focus on the history of law and society, relationship of law and society, different branches of law in the society, together with its associates, which leads to highlight the key characteristics of law and society perspectives. Law is a guiding principle for the society to ensure achievement of happiness without bloodshed, peace and harmony, and restraining people from getting beyond the guidelines and hence it breaching set regulations, rules, policies, or norms. Please think about what was happening during the caveman period. The caveman period was a period when their might was right. So if you had a danda in your hand, jiska danda uska bhais, that was the rule that was operating at that time. Now, as we grew, as we advanced in our culture, as we advanced in our civilization, we said, no, this does not do. Therefore, there must be some yardstick by which society should be guided, yardsticks by which individual conduct must be subrogated and subjugated to the general good of the society as such. Law is the guiding principle for society to ensure achievement of happiness without bloodshed. Otherwise, what is going to happen is you're going to have maramari, violence all the time, and there will be bloodshed. Society is referred to as a set of human beings who can be described as gregarious animals who can easily be swayed by the slightest sight or sniff of materialistic gains like power, financial, luxurious, etc., leading to unwanted acts causing creation of restrictions. Now, that the society led to a lot of bloodshed in spite of the regulations is obvious to us. We have seen it happening. I had the good or bad fortune of presiding over a commission of inquiry which went at length into such issues. The above definitions arise from the fact that law and society rest on the belief of legal rules and decisions, which must be understood in the context of their being inseparable. Both are not separated from each other, but are embedded deeply within each other. As mankind evolved, laws started whereby man couldn't live without the laws governing him. Today, laws are made based on human actions, and that is why it is hard to separate law from society. It is like society is the main engine for laws. However, the relationship of law and society can also be viewed at ways in that laws are socially and historically established, and both reflect and impact on the cultural aspects, ways on how society bridges the gap of inequalities through different ways of enforcement, which is more related to legal procedures and traditional norms in cultural institutions. The need and process of law formulation emerges from disagreement where one or two disagree in any area, and hence mediators have to intervene in a developing society and agreed ways of controlling recurrence of disputes in a society. This is the origin of a law. Law is intended to ensure that there is no conflict on account of dissensions. A great saying, a Subhachita in Sanskrit says, Pinde pinde mate bhinna kunde kunde navambajaha deshe deshe namachara vani inna mukhe mukhe. So as many thoughts are there, as many brains are there, there are going to be thoughts, there are going to be ideologies, there are going to be different inspirations. Now, if each of them do not comply with each other, if each of them do not resonate with each other, there is dissension. So I may say I like reds, you may say somebody likes green, somebody likes yellow. So that can itself become a matter of dissension and conflict in society. That is why you need law, which will say, hey, all of you may have your individual thinking, but this must all be subjugated to the welfare of the society as a whole. Living without law in our society, where unlawful actors are not brought to justice, would amount to the law of the jungle or Matsya Nyaya, or survival of the fittest. Now, you know what is Matsya Nyaya? Matsya Nyaya is a term that is used by Chanakya, and where he says, in the sea, as they say, Timingila Gilopyasti, Tadgilopyasti Sagare. So there are fish which are eaten by bigger fish. There are fish which eat the bigger fish. There are fish that eat the bigger fish and bigger fish and bigger fish. So this will happen, and the law of the jungle will prevail. He who has the might will rule over the others. Now this identification of such actors, identification and disciplining of such activities is the main purpose of law. The absence of law in society would provide an opportunity for violence, chaos, and injustice in society. Today, we recognize the reality that society is heterogeneous. It comprises systems of all kinds of people who may destabilize the balance of the natural society, and that is where law finds its strength in restoring the balance by compelling obedience to socially accepted norms and making people live together. It is here that the law helps us to maintain the morality of individual personalities as well as society. In other words, law is determined by societal action, which in turn determines establishment of laws. The beautiful interdependence is this. Society comes together and says, hey, let us have Satyameva Jayate or Nanratam, whatever the law that you have, or thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's property. This is the law. If you do not have this, I might be tempted to take away my neighbor's property, kill my neighbor, or kill somebody else for gratifying my desires. If you do not have a common set of rules to be followed by each individual constituent of society, there will be chaos, there will be conflict, there will be violence, there will be bloodshed, and there will be ultimate destruction of society. Therefore, all the members of society pool together their thinking, their experience, and their foresight, and then say that these are the set of rules which should be followed. Those set of rules will become the law by a democratic process or by any other process, which becomes the law, which everybody is acknowledged it as the acceptable norm and which everybody is bound to follow, failing which there will be sanction of some kind or the other prescribed by the law. Now, the interesting thing is, society has determined what the law should be. Now, if you take a democratic setup, what happens is that we have a parliament or state legislature, which is elected by the will of the people, which decides what should be the norms which should be followed in this society. Now, those laws are followed by society. And there may be some occasions when law itself brings about this kind of behavior in society by forcing them. Now, Rajeshri Madam referred to a number of them. For example, take what happened, you go back to the British period, sati was abolished. Sati, right thinking people considered that sati was an abhorrent practice, it needs to be stopped. Now, society might not have intended that to be stopped. Society might have wanted it to go on, but the law stepped in and said, hey, no, I think we should not indulge in this. Let us stop as human beings, decent human beings. Now, this is the manner in which law itself influences society. Law has different branches in modern judicial systems which govern society at all levels. Now, I will give an example of some of the laws. Public law. This part of the law is that which governs the relationship between individuals and government with direct concern to society. It also comprises of constitutional, administrative, tax and criminal laws, as also procedural laws where the public mandatory rules prevail, and all of which law concerning relationships between individuals are mainly considered private law. In other words, public law and relationships governing systems are systemic and unequal government bodies that can make guidance on the rights of individuals. Rule of law ideology is one where authorities must act within law. This is another great quality of law, that it is an equalizer. And as we say, be however high you might be, the law is the same for you and you are subordinate to law. There is a very interesting episode in Mahabharata. There was a king whose coronation took place, and the king very joyously announces and says, Adandyoham, I cannot be disciplined, I cannot be disciplined by anybody. The Rajguru who is sitting next to him pulls him down and says, Brahmadandyosi, you are also answerable to Brahma. Brahma is Shruti, the Pramana which was accepted in those days. So it says, similarly, in democracy we will say, you may be the greatest person in this country, but still you are subject to the rule of law. That is the greatness of the law. In fact, in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it is said that law is something like what you have, like your private PIL, today's PIL, the writ petition. Tadetat kshatram, kshatrasya kshatram, that this is a king of kings. What does it do? He uses it for the purpose of defeating even the biggest, highest powers. That is the greatness of law. Your petition under Article 226 or under 32 is capable of bringing any biggest person in the society today to his knees. All right. In other words, public law in relationships governing systems are systemic and unequal bodies that can make guidance on the rights of individuals. Rule of law ideology is one where authorities must act within the law. Being unhappy with the decision on administrative authorities' decision, other citizens can ask court for judicial review and hence change of laws to suit necessity. Now this we are seeing day in and day out. Hundreds of petitions are filed in the high courts and in the Supreme Courts, challenging administrative decisions, tax authorities' decisions, administrative tribunals' decisions, even military tribunal decisions. And that is the greatness of the law. On the other hand, rights can be divided into two parts and include private and public rights. Where public rights cover the aspect of welfare benefits, which rights are awarded to an administrative decision out of government budgets, while private law covers the aspect of relations between individuals or institutions, rather than relations between individuals, institutions, and government. Now, for example, Municipal laws. Municipal laws are concerned with where you can build a house, what should be the dimension of the walls, what should be the distance between this, what should be the wall's thickness, etc., etc. Traffic laws. These are all the laws where the government is basically the society in power. The society tells you what you can do, what you cannot do. Then there can be something that is purely private, that I enter into a contract with somebody, I have to give him a loan or take a mortgage or enter into a transaction of selling property. That is purely private law. Then you have the other kind of law called the constitutional law, which is one step higher. This is the foundation of democratic nations that postulates the supremacy of law in the functioning of law in society, which is termed as the rule of law. Constitutional law is one of the branches of law in the society which sets up governments with its different branches of work, like ministries, that stipulates how they are elected or appointed and the division of powers with responsibilities between them. In prior dominant traditional systems, the basic government systems include executive, legislature, and judiciary, which still exists in governing bodies of the society till today. Constitutional law provides understanding of basic human rights which must be protected for everyone and further civil and political citizens possess. It establishes fundamental borders to what any government systems must comply and conform and must not do, which limits roles and responsibilities, and hence it is enshrined in a written document, which is the Constitution. What does the Constitution do? The Constitution demarcates what the legislature can do by a certain process, what the executive can do by a certain process, and what the others can do within a certain process. And Constitution also says what the judiciary can do. So it is this, our Constitution has a beautiful methodology of ensuring that there is a system of check and balance between the three organs of society, namely judiciary, legislature, and executive. And that is the real role played by the Constitution. Then we take a look at the criminal law. What does criminal law do? This is where the state enforces sanctions on the defined crimes committed by individuals or businesses for the sake of society's justice and peaceable society order. It's a body of laws that apply to acts of criminals where, in circumstances where individuals fail to condone and conform to specific criminal statutes by breaking or doing actions contrary to the agreed laws. In other words, criminal law penalizes and penalties involve the forfeiture of one's rights and imprisonment, which conversely relates to the resolution of legal controversies and involve financial damages. So if the law says thou shalt not steal, of course thou shalt not steal was there in the Magradha Kasyasit Bhanam way back in Ishavasya Upanishad, and also in the Bible which said thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's property. But if you do, what happens? The prescriptive law says if you do, you shall go to jail. If you do, you shall be fined and you will be deprived of your property. And in some countries, if you steal, your hand may be chopped off. It depends on the way the society looks at it. The reason behind criminal law includes to deter crime, reform perpetrators, prevent recurrence of crime, and provide retribution for acts of crime. Then you have the administrative law, which is the body of law that governs areas of administration in government. Government departments or ministries' actions include decision-making, enforcement of specific regulatory policies or laws. Administrative law, therefore, is considered a branch of public law. The team involved in decision-making of the administrative units of government that includes tribunals, boards, or commissions. They are as much part of state regulatory body, such as police or immigration authorities, transport authorities, communication authorities, etc. Many countries have established diversified legislative bodies worldwide with different agencies that control the social aspects of society, economic regulations, and political system. Then the fine distinction between substantive and adjectival law. There are laws of procedures or practice as opposed to the body of law that courts are established to administer, that may include rules like civil procedure, criminal procedure, and so on. It involves law that provides a methodology for enforcement or maintaining of rights or obtaining redress for the invasion for effectiveness. Now let's step back a little and say, what was the situation in our country? We have talked about everything in the world. In ancient India, there was not much divergence between society and law. In fact, the concept of dharma as a principle that unifies all elements of society was postulated. Dharma is a compendious word which includes religious rules, societal rules of conduct, legal rules, and all principles that ultimately conduce to peace, welfare, and happiness in society. For the Indians, following dharma was itself an objective in life or a purushartha. As you all know, our shastras tell us that there are four purusharthas. They are dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Now, dharma is, let's say, rule of law for the time being. Then artha is pursuit of material prosperity. Kama is desires of every kind. And of course, moksha is ultimate liberation that you get from this bondage of life and death. These were postulated are the four objectives of every human being. And please note, dharma is at the highest pinnacle, and it is said that everything else has to follow dharma and within the parameters of dharma. For the Indians, following dharma was itself an objective or purushartha of life. They believed that dharma led to the other three purusharthas of artha, kama, and finally moksha itself. There is a very famous lament of Vyasa Maharshi in Mahabharata at the end of Mahabharata, where in the Bharat Savitri, where he says, Urdhvabahu viramyeshaha nahi kaschit shrunoti me dharmadarthascha kamascha tasmat sahi kim na sevyate. He says, I am shouting from the housetop with my hands raised and saying, why don't you follow the dharma? Because dharma is the one that leads to artha, kama, and you will be able to happily live in life in society. But unfortunately, nobody is listening to me. And what the lament that Maharshi made during the Mahabharata is true of today also. Today also we have to lament that people are not interested in dharma, but they are interested in smaller things like artha and kama. It is the advent of the foreign rule and imposition of their ideologies that led to the segregation of societal rules and law. As a matter of fact, law is also intended to ensure peace, order, discipline, and result in all-round happiness. It is only as late as the 1960s that Western thinkers veered toward jurisprudence that identified the umbilical relationship between law and society and realized the mutual dependence of both. A movement called Law and Society, spearheaded by several political and sociologically inclined jurists, started studying law as an aspect of social engineering. This also led to the American school of realist school of jurisprudence. Despite the divergence between the two disciplines of law and sociology, even in modern India, after the advent of the colonial rule, we see how law has helped to reshape society. It was law that gave lead to abolish evils of society like sati. Our constitution under Article 17 abolished practice of untouchability in any form. Judicial activism has led to many social reforms in the wake of law. Rights of minorities, rights of backward classes, rights of women and children, rights of the differently abled LGBTQ sections of society, entry of women into Shabarimala temple, and many other examples with regard to environmental protection, right to education, and you will have a galore of them. There are many examples abound of how law has established new norms for society and gave fillip to social reform. The instances of using PILs for improving the quality of life in society is legend and would require a full-fledged lecture to cover the manifold accepts. In conclusion, I would finally submit that society's crystallized thinking leads to law. Contrarily, law then addresses social issues neglected by society and jumps ahead. This leapfrogging between the two leads to all-round progress in society. It is the duty of all of us lawyers to recognize this inexorable relationship between law and society and to act as catalysts for social progress and prove that social engineering is the ultimate good of law. Now, if you notice, all the leaders that were there during the struggle against the British Raj, during the independence struggle, most of them were lawyers, whether it be Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel, any host of them. Now, why is it so? That is so because law is a liberal profession. What does it teach you? It teaches you to unmute yourself. It teaches you to think for yourself. It teaches you to critically think and voice your dissension if you have some. Voice your disagreement if you have some. Now that is the greatness of law, because law says everyone has the right to thinking his or her own way of thinking, and everyone has the right to live in society in a manner that doesn't cause disruption of the other's life. If that is followed by everyone, that is the rule of law, that is the rule of society, and then there can be no divergence between law and society. Both will live in harmony. Each will feed the other. Each will develop the other. Each will help in giving rise to a robustness of the other. Thank you for inviting me to this, and I am happy to be in the company of so many academics. I am happy to learn from them. More than anything, it's unfortunate that the pandemic deprived me of an opportunity of giving this lecture, which would have normally been in the convocation hall. I've had the privilege of giving some lectures in the convocation hall. Hopefully, let's all hope and that this bad period in our life will soon vanish, and we'll go back to normalcy of being able to interact with each other physically and be able to gather in surroundings that are more conducive than internet on whose stability we have to depend all the time. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Keep safe. Be well. Be happy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks for enlightening us about various aspects of law and society by giving lots of examples.
Thank you, Honorable Shri Justice B. N. Shri Krishnan, sir, former Judge, Supreme Court of India. We all are really delighted by listening to your lecture. So may I request Honorable Dr. Mrs. Sheetala Shrikant Gawan, Madam, Principal, Bhagubai Changu Thakur College of Law, New Panvel, to propose a vote of thanks.
Namaskar. It gives me immense pleasure to deliver vote of thanks on this very first day of inaugural session of this webinar series of legal aid awareness program, Law at Your Doorstep. I am heartily thankful to all the dignitaries who are assembled here. Our today's inaugural functions chief guest, Honorable Justice Shri B. N. Shri Krishna, sir, former Judge, Supreme Court of India, Honorable Dr. Baliram Gayakwad, sir, Registrar, University of Mumbai, Honorable Professor Dr. Ranjan Kumar, sir, Head and Dean, Mahatma Gandhi Kashi Vidyapit, Varanasi, for choosing our Janardhan Bhagat Shikshan Prasarak Sanstha's Bhagubai Changu Thakur College of Law, New Panvel, for organizing this webinar series, Law at Your Doorstep. There is a famous teaching by our beloved 11th President of India, Honorable Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, sir, that success is right preparation with right opportunity. Opportunity may differ from person to person, but preparation you can do with your own hard work, reading ability, and updating your knowledge. So be ready to step towards success. This 4 days webinar series is a feast of knowledge. Sir, thank you very much for inspiring us with your knowledge and inspirational thoughts. Really, as said by late Sri Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak, great achievements never get easily, and achievements easily made are not great. So, dear students, as Swami Vivekananda rightly said, if you think yourself strong, you will become strong. If you think yourself weak, you will become weak. So, I am sure this webinar series will be certainly beneficial to you all. I am also thankful to Honorable Professor Dr. Rajeshri Varadi, Madam, Head, Department of Law, University of Mumbai, for always helping and supporting all law colleges and always supporting us for organizing different programs for welfare of students and society. Madam, you are really a role model for all of us. And Honorable Professor Dr. Ranjan Kumar, Head and Dean, Law Department, Mahatma Gandhi Kashi Vidyapit, Varanasi, for accepting our invitation within a short span of time and for enlightening us with words of wisdom and knowledge. I am thankful to our management, Honorable Shri Ramshet Thakur, sir, Chairman, Janardhan Bhagat Shikshan Prasarak Sanstha, Honorable Shri Y.T. Deshmukh, sir, Vice Chairman, Janardhan Bhagat Shikshan Prasarak Sanstha, Honorable Dr. Shri S.T. Gadde, sir, Secretary, Janardhan Bhagat Shikshan Prasarak Sanstha, and all members of the management of our Sanstha for always inspiring, supporting, and motivating us. I am also grateful to all the respected principals of various law colleges for always supporting each other, our respected professors of Law Department of University of Mumbai and Mahatma Gandhi Kashi Vidyapit Varanasi, all teaching staff present over here, all our well-wishers, audience, participants, then Mr. Suyash Bartakke, 5th year BLS student, for anchoring the whole program very nicely, volunteers, and all my dear students and friends. Thank you very much for attending this webinar and making this function a grand success. Tomorrow on 2nd August, we have guest lecture on the topic Significance of Consumer Protection Act by Honorable Advocate Uday Babikar Sir. And on 3rd August, we have guest lecture by Honorable Advocate Mrunalini Deshmukh Madam on the topic Domestic Violence Act and Women Empowerment. And on 4th August, we have guest lecture by Honorable Advocate Sudeep Pasbola Sir on the topic Disciplinary Powers of the Bar Council and Welfare of the Society. It is our request to attend all the webinars. Webinars will be live on YouTube also. Also, you are requested to fill a feedback form for e-certificate. Link of the feedback form is also sent on chat box of Zoom meeting, and also it is sent in comment box of YouTube channel. So thank you very much once again. Take care. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra.
Yeah. I